GPS bike computers are something that have revolutionized cycling for many people. They allow you to follow routes, share your ride on Strava, and so much more. And I was an early adopter way back in 2007 with this, the original Garmin Edge 305. Hands up if you remember this small device. Gone were the days of a small bike computer that could only do really limited things like speed and distance and required sensors and magnets on the wheel and the fork. With this, you can do so much more than just speed and distance, and you can download all that data, analyze it in detail, and then share it on the internet for your friends and family to see, and made it possible for websites like Strava to exist. So a real game-changing moment. And they have changed a lot over the years, with Garmin being the main brand that have really pushed forward the GPS bike computer. So we had that one, then the Edge 705 was a big step forward, then my favorite all-time computer, the trusty 500. Still going strong, sort of. That's a real kind of pinnacle moment for me. And while these computers have got better and better over the years, with better screens and better run times and more features, for the last few years, I do feel they've been stuck in the past, especially compared to the advances in the smartphone world. Which is why the Hammerhead Karoo 2 is so interesting. I've been using it for the past 6 months or so, and for me, it's a big step forward in user experience compared to anything else I've ever used before. The user experience is fantastic on the Karoo 2, and the biggest appeal is the big 3.2-inch colour screen with a whopping 16.7 million colours. It's a glorious, rich experience akin to a smartphone, and a big step forward from the basic and often monotone colours of other GPS computers. And it makes a new Wahoo Roam V2 with a splash of colour look like an antique. It's a touchscreen as well, but there are physical buttons around the side, so it's the best of both worlds. And a touchscreen makes sense since most of us are used to smartphones with their touchscreens these days. Now, the touchscreen is quick, responsive, and works with gloves and in the rain. There is a rain mode, but I've only had to use it once, and that's saying something as I live in the UK where it does rain a lot. The computer is responsive and fast when moving around the menus. There's no lag or hesitation at all. It's really very good. You can fully customize all the pages and data on display. I've only made a few changes. The main one is a bike packing profile, just showing a map on full page and then another data screen for just the data I need when doing bike packing adventures. The touchscreen makes it really easy to customize the layout, which is a good thing as there's no companion app like you get with Wahoo with the Element companion app as an example. Now, instead of that smartphone app, you can go to the browser on your smartphone and log into your dashboard on the Hammerhead website. And once there, you can download routes and do other things as well. But to be honest, most of it you do within the Karoo 2. Now, getting routes onto the Karoo 2 to make the most of a big screen is pretty easy for the most part, but this does need to be on your home Wi-Fi network. Because once on the Wi-Fi and you sync it with your favorite mapping software, so for me it's Strava at the moment, any routes you create on there will automatically download to your Karoo 2. The only issue I have is when you're away from home, so you're traveling, doing an event or a sportive or at a friend's house, and you're not having this on the Wi-Fi network, you can't easily get routes from your smartphone onto Karoo 2. You can't use your smartphone as a piggyback to that internet connection or your 4G or 5G network. Hopefully it's something that might change in the future with the bi-weekly updates they are doing with the Karoo 2. Now, once you've got a route up and running on the Karoo 2, it's really easy to follow. The screen is fantastic for following a route. You have a nice yellow line and yellow arrows to show you what road to follow. You can also opt for turn-by-turn navigation cues if you want, but personally I prefer to follow the yellow line. It works really well for me, and that's the same on the road or off-road doing an adventure route. The maps are full of detail and very clear, with main roads and country lanes really easy to identify. You can also pinch and zoom and move around the map as easy to check out your route in detail, and then lock the screen so you can swipe to your data screens left and right. There's good info when riding off-road, doing gravel or mountain biking. You can easily see bridleways and footpaths, and I found it works fine when following a route across a wide open countryside. Maybe not as much detail as having an OS map in front of you, but I found it works really well. Hammerhead has their own computer mount system and it's designed to be really stable with a big surface area. When you're riding off-road or down a bumpy road, it's really stable and doesn't bounce around like some other computers can do. You can fit a quarter turn adapter in there and use it with any Garmin mount. I found that works really well. And durability has been just fine. This one's been through all weathers. I've used it on a road bike, the mountain bike, the gravel bike, in the rain, been covered in mud. I've dropped it, I've crashed a few times, and as you can see, it's in good condition. There is an elastomer edge around the outside for improved kind of shock proof when you do drop it, or if you drop it. And this red part of the case can be replaced with a range of colours available. It's black at default, but I've gone for a red one to match the Just Ride Bikes logo, so it looks very cool. The screen is also tough, hard wearing. I can't see any signs of damage on it at all, and it's IP67 rated, so it's dust and water protected. So let's talk about some of the features, and one of my favourites is the climber mode. Simply put, when you ride onto a climb, the Karoo 2 notices from the GPS and map data and displays data on that climb. So the gradient, the length, and the time to summit, and a really nice colour display as well. Now Wahoo and Garmin can do this, but they need a route on the computer to know more about that climb, whereas the Karoo 2 does it automatically and with no need to download a route, and that is fantastic. Now I haven't really dug into how accurate that data is compared to actual climbing data, but riding along with a mate with a Garmin and his climbing mode on, and the percentage gradient figures do vary a bit, but they're in the same ballpark. But personally, you may feel differently. I'm not worried if it's not 100% accurate, because what I get from it is a rough indication of what lies ahead on the climb. Whether it's 12% or 13% doesn't matter so much, as it's in double digits and it's going to be hard. It's having a rough idea of how long and how tough a climb will be, rather than knowing absolutely precisely how steep it's going to be. So that's the main thing that I really take away. And that time to the summit is a really useful indicator of how long you've been suffering for. And if you're into Strava KOMs, I know lots and lots of you are, then the live segment display is fantastic on this. There's a full immersive orange color experience and shows the live data on your time compared to faster and slower cyclists on a segment and your own PR, and really helps you to pace yourself much more smartly than if you're riding blind, or the more limited display you get from other computers using the same live segment data. You can also pair the Karoo 2 with SRAM and CAMPAD group sets, but not Shimano, not anymore. Because since Hammerhead got bought by SRAM earlier this year, Shimano decided to force the company, Hammerhead, to withdraw gear shifting display support from the Karoo 2. Now, of course, that is ridiculous and it is a shame, and it clearly upsets some people, but it's probably only a small minority, as people with the necessary Di2 group set with the extra shift buttons in the hoods are Dura-Ace and Ultegra. 105 doesn't have them, so probably a small percentage of people. And personally, it doesn't bother me because I don't use a gear indicator on the computer, just don't need it, but a needless move from Shimano nonetheless. You can also connect to a Garmin Varia radar and control the settings within the menu, and also control an indoor smart trainer as well. So support for most ANT Plus and Bluetooth devices is really good, and the integration into computer is very smart. Now to battery life, which is something I see lots of comments and lots of complaints about online and on various other reviews. Hammerhead claims it's good for between 7 and 14 hours from the internal battery, with 12 hours quoted as a regular usage pattern. In reality, it is easy to run the battery down really quickly. You have the screen brightness set to max and loads of sensors switched on, and you're following a route and using all the features on a device. But with a few changes and a few modifications and following the company's own advice on their website, you can extend the battery life, and it is possible, in my experience, to get very close to that 14 hours. As an example, I used the Hammerhead Karoo 2 for a 3-day bikepacking trip across Wales. You can see that video linked down below. Now we're riding all day, starting nice and early in the morning, camping over, and then riding all day, having a few lunch stops here and there, and then getting to the evening campsite, and the battery lasted just fine all day, every day for 3 days. And all I had to do is turn the screen brightness down and turn a few bits and bobs off, and it lasted just fine. And I had no anxiety around the battery running out, and I still had quite a bit of juice in the evenings remaining as well. So it shows that the battery can last just fine if you turn down the screen brightness. That seems to be the main thing to really preserve the battery life. And for regular riding, you can do 6 hours with everything turned on, or 8 hours with everything turned on, following a route, with your power meter and heart rate all running just fine. So yes, you can run the battery down really quickly if you have the screen brightness turned up and everything running. But if you follow the company's settings, they've got 3 settings on their website for how to modify the device. You can extend the battery life and get close to that 14 hours claimed runtime. Now, while 14 hours is pretty good, it's nowhere near the claimed 45 hours for the brand new Garmin Edge 1040 Solar, but that is a much bigger unit and much more expensive as well. And that Wahoo Roam V2 I've been using is a claimed 17 hours, which is quite a bit more than the 14 hours of this, but this does a lot more than the Wahoo Roam V2. But in my experience, the battery really isn't an issue at all. And if you are doing rides where 14 hours isn't enough, and who are you, then maybe it's not a computer for you, or you just need to pack a small battery pack to extend the battery life. But all that said, given the size of the unit and the size of the battery, it's a shame it doesn't last longer and isn't more comparable to its main rivals without having to tweak the settings in the computer itself. Maybe that'll come with version 3 of the Karoo. Now, thankfully, it's USB-C charging, so it's quick to top up the battery, up to 50% in an hour. So pretty good, you can get it up and running fairly quickly after a ride. Now, another complaint is the rubber port cover isn't attached, so the risk of losing it is real. In recognition of this problem, you do get a spare in the box, which is just as well because I lost the first one already. So you have to be a bit more careful and mindful of keeping it safe during charging. But that said, my iPhone has no protection on the battery port, so maybe it's not really an issue, and maybe losing it isn't the end of the world. Now, £370 is a lot of money for a GPS bike computer, I know. So, is it worth the money? Well, it's £20 more than the Wahoo Roam V2, which got updated very recently. My video is linked down below. But sorry Wahoo, the updates, in my opinion, just aren't enough to make it a worthwhile saving compared to the much more feature-laden and much more enjoyable to use Karoo 2. And the Karoo 2 is £140 cheaper than the brand new Garmin Edge 1040 Solar, but I haven't tried it yet because they won't send me one, so I can't comment on whether that's worth the extra money. But if you do want the best in class battery, then the Garmin definitely beats the Karoo 2 on paper. But I don't think there's much more in it, looking at the specifications between this and that Garmin Edge 1040 Solar. You can also now get the Garmin Edge 830 discounted from $350, so about the same price as this, down to £250, which is very comparable. And that discount suggests that there must be an 840 on the way, so probably worth waiting to see what that is all about before plumping for the 830. But if you want to save a bit of money and you want a similar feature-laden computer, then there might be a good pick. Now, I don't know about you, but I fell out of love with Garmin many years ago, despite being an early adopter, and their devices really changing the game for me and many other people. The general unreliability and flakiness of the software updates pushed me away from Garmin to Wahoo. And when Wahoo came along, they really challenged the dominance of Garmin in the GPS bike sector. And while Wahoos have been reliable where the Garmins, in my experience, weren't, they haven't really moved the game on enough from their early launch. But that's where Hammerhead with the Karoo 2 have moved the game on a big step. They've taken what Garmin had done and what Wahoo had done and made it much better. And that's why the Karoo 2 is now my personal favourite. But it's not perfect. It's expensive. The battery could be a lot better, and personally, I love a proper smartphone companion app. But despite all that, it is the most exciting GPS bike computer available right now, and that's why it's my daily computer, and I can highly recommend it. Now, if you like the sound of that and you want to check out more, I'll put a link to their website down below. This video wasn't sponsored by them, by the way, just to make that clear. And I'll put a link to where you can buy it from, and if you do click on that affiliate link, I might get a small fee which helps support the channel. And if you want to see a review video of that Wahoo Roam version 2 and how it compares, then check out this video right here. And don't forget to subscribe by hitting the button right here. But that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again very soon.